Welcome back to the Bear Down segment of the Coach Steve Show, where Zach joins each and every week to talk about the Chicago Bears. Could call it Bear Sadness, but I call it Bear Down just to be more positive about it. Zach, how you doing? Welcome back.
Yeah, good to be on. I'm good. I have settled down a bit since the trade deadline episode we did. It wasn't like I was stupid fired up, but I'm ready to get back into more of the into more of a more I say stable set of mind. So, without further ado, we have another speaking of the NFC East connection because we didn't been talking about kind of stuff with the East side. Now the AFC East this week.
Yeah, we
With the
got
Dolphins.
good old Dolphins and concussion Tua coming to town, as I call him. Uh, and Speedy Gonzalez, Tyreek Hill coming into town. But I too am not as fired up from the trade. I think you and I are more agreement of it was the Roquan Smith trade that kind of got us fired up. The Chase Claypool we could both accept.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking just before recording. There's different articles and writers that have graded the trade, and it's averaging. You see some A's, but there's a lot of C plus grades. There's a lot of D plus grades. They think we overpaid just because of what the Bears' second round pick could have been. It could be a very high second round pick, but that's still yet to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
That could be middle of the road second round, but it's just projected to be higher. I'm okay with the trade, and I said that the last time we talked. Like that part didn't bother me. It was how we got there, but it sounds like he's going to play a lot more, and it'd be nice to have another offensive weapon for Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. But yes, the Dolphins coming to town, AFC East matchup. Uh, it's supposed to storm at some point, I think, tomorrow, but we'll see how the Dolphins fare with a 50-ish, 60-degree-ish weather coming in. But it'll be a very interesting matchup we have going on. But you feeling better about this Chase Claypool thing coming in? That's going to be the big talk of the town, even though I think we'll talk about other things that need to be happening with the Bears. But I feel better with Chase Claypool about to play 10 to 35 snaps reported.
I want him out there. I still think it's important to get him in this game to see what they can do. I do think that they are hopefully going to try and stretch the field. I think that's what's been mostly talked about is hey, you know, he in his rookie year compared to his like previous year and a half, they haven't stretched the field as much with him. I think that's what they want to bring him in for. If not, open up space for Darnell Mooney. So that'd be nice to kind of see like the early returns and like maybe like a sneak peek of that, of what the full serving will be moving forward. Kind of this one. I don't know if they're going to do anything complex, but like get him out there in space, let him maybe just like put him in situations where it's about letting his athletic, freakish like height and, hands do what it needs to do and see what we got. So, this game for Claypool, I ain't looking for a ton. I mean, if they honestly, I'll be I'll be super blown away if he comes away with like 50 yards and a touchdown. That'd be pretty awesome because I think that means right away that, staple guy, they're going to make him involved, and as we're talking, and as we said in the last show, they're already going to be talking about contract negotiations at the end of the year. So this is already an audition phase to say, hey, are you worth paying for a certain scale, and what is that scale going to be for you? So get
Yeah.
that going now. You have 9 games, and one of them you're going to be using to get up to speed anyway. So just saying.
Yeah. It's to repeat ourselves from last time. Roquan Smith type of thing where you have to sign him. Now, that's the only part of the trade that didn't make sense was you're tanking. Obviously, you're trying to get to the draft, you're trying to get to free agency, but then you trade for Chase Claypool. Me personally, this type of trade is like you're trying to win now. Like that's what the Eagles were trying to do when they got Roquan or Robert Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking to win now. They're looking towards a Super Bowl, kind of like the Rams when they make their trades. This was a trade of like, wait a minute, are you tanking or are you trying to win right now? Or is this a trade that you've already planned out ahead of time that you're going to re-sign him and not worry about drafting wide receivers because you're going to have Mooney and Chase Claypool, and you're thinking that again there might be something we don't know, but what could
Hmm.
change is it. Let's say he blows up. Let's say not this next game, but as we get to the 10th game, 11th game, 12th game, he starts going off. Beginning of the next year, he starts doing real well. He might go and demand big time money and say, "I want this money." You got to pay Mooney. You got to pay like. So not to repeat a lot of it, but it was a weird type of trade of you're trying to win now or are you tanking? And I'm not quite sure whether the head's at with that one.
Well, I mean, that discussion aside, with the Claypool pickup, this is, and yeah, you're only getting a sample this week, but not too shabby of a defense to be facing to not only maybe test out the waters, but also to see if you can keep building that week over week progress we're all seeing from Justin Fields as a passer. That is, I think that it's awesome what he's been doing athletically with his legs. I want to see if can we break the 200-yard mark with the opportunities we get this week, and the fact that we're also going to have probably the healthiest, best possible line setup that we're going to have all season right now. Maybe sans Lucas Patrick playing center instead of Mustafa, although that's even out the door. Mustafa had a top rated game recently, so what do we know anymore? But to me, you look at Miami, they play to your strength in terms of the run game, so I think you're going to be tested more to say, hey, show me some downfield presence. This is the game to show me that we're week over week improving, because it's a weak secondary to go against. Gives up 300 yards a game on average right now through the season. Miami is most likely right now, if you're playing them, you're expected to be in a shootout type of scenario during your contest. So yeah, I'm
Yep.
going to be looking at this one pretty closely in terms of the passing elements of Justin Fields, and when Claypool's on the field, how quickly is he getting towards opportunities with targets? And does Darnell Mooney or Cole Kmet get more opportunities with their targets? More free
Yeah. Yeah.
openings?
Because we kind of talked the Cowboys game. We kind of didn't because it was overshadowed by what was going on in the trade market.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there were some mistakes made in the Cowboys game, of course, in the offense, but to score 29 points is something to be said about where they were
It
in the
is.
beginning of the year. And we'll get to whatever you want to call the other side of the ball that we have. I don't call it defense no more, besides about two or three players. The rest of it, I don't know anymore what that is. But on the offensive side of the ball, it did seem like Justin Fields had more passing yards with the Cowboys. It felt like it. Then you looked at and he had like 170, whatever it was. And you're like, oh, he has not hit the 200 mark. But it's just overall growth. Like I said, Justin Fields to me, again, obviously not big on drafting him. That's fine. But if the whole offense as well, if we're scoring 30 points and he only has to throw 170 yards, that's telling me that the offensive line's playing better. That's telling me the run game's better. That tells me the wide receivers are running the routes harder. They're getting open. Different things are happening. Because I don't think Justin Fields will ever be Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. That's just my personal opinion. I don't even know if he'll be Lamar Jackson. But I am perfectly fine with average, a little above average play, as long as if they're scoring 30 points, you're putting yourself in a position to compete in the game to win. And from the Cowboys, we did see more growth. There were a couple bumps, that one dropped pass that was right off the fingertips that could have been
Mm-hmm.
caught, you know, didn't finish drives again. But just overall improvement is what we're seeing. I compare it to like Illinois' wide receivers, and I hate going back to Illinois, but it's like I'm watching the same team at the beginning of the year where we don't have a guy to throw to in Illinois, but now all the receivers are finding ways to get open. They're running routes harder. And same thing with the Bears. Mooney is supposed to be the guy, but he kind of took a step back. Now he's coming forward. The wide receivers are coming forward. The play calling has been better fitting the whole personnel. So it'll be interesting to see where Chase Claypool fits in the play calling. Hopefully they don't force something to him. Hopefully it just kind of happens where he is open. They get the ball to him. Don't just force it to him. Don't immediately look at him. But you're right. It could open up Mooney. They could be like, oh my God, he's in. We got to go look at Chase Claypool. It opens up Mooney. Hopefully we see those things this week. That was a big,
Yeah.
long-winded overall answer, but
No. I mean, I think it, and this is partially of the whole conversation that I think fans and media have been having about Claypool and what they could use him for. And I think just basing it on, okay, you're not going to give him the whole, you're not going to be able to get the whole playbook in a week. It's going to take maybe at least at least going to take 2 full weeks of practice and maybe a third to be like, okay, we're all squared away now. So what are you going to do this game? Okay, you're going to either get him like one cut routes that are like, maybe I would say quick slants or like ins, outs, things that are not too crazy. I don't know. Just don't, I wouldn't say, and this is just based on my own assessment. I wouldn't be doing anything where it's like, okay, we need to be running, rub or like crossing routes where it's all about timing on who's hitting where in 5-10 yards down the field. Get him like isolated ones away from the play or something that maybe takes part of the defense away from the rest of your receiving core and relieves pressure. So like do some streaks, do some posts down the middle, get those ins, outs, slants. I think more of the deep routes, though, are what they want to focus on because, as we've been talking, his rookie year, everyone's been saying it, his rookie year, he was getting the deep ball often. He was effective downfield at going for contested catches and going deep with Ben Roethlisberger still playing relatively somewhat up to his prime, up to his top tier snuff. Not his prime, but it's still good enough to where you could say, yeah, Ben's playing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last year and a half or so, you got the end of Ben Roethlisberger's tenure, which Ben's arm was cooked and they weren't able to do much. So they were keeping everything low.
Yep.
And then this year it's been Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. And I don't even have to say much about Mitch Trubisky. You and I can talk all day. Dink dunk and the like is his go. He's not a deep ball thrower that's accurate. So that was out the window anyway. And Kenny Pickett's a rookie QB. So everyone's been talking, okay, let's return him to a deep ball type of scenario where a guy can deliver that ball accurately, which Justin Fields has shown. I'll admit, if there's one thing I trust the guy on the most is the deep ball, throw it up to the receiver and see if he comes down with it. It's just the receiver's got to come down with it. I'm looking at you, Velus Jones. Claypool would have come down with that ball. I'll leave that there. But I'm saying that's what you do. You want to test it with what you think he's good at? Those are easy routes, I think, that you can put into the offense for that 10 to 35 snap count.
Yeah, I foresee they're only going to give him play. Like they're going to tell him you're only in on these plays, so know these plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you will see he's in on run plays and maybe where it's a RPO away from him, where he just has to run a screen on a backside or something. I think that's how they will get his feet wet. But you're right. I think some of those plays that he's going to know are, I think the Bears have to start taking the Sean Payton approach where he believes you have to take 8 deep shots a game, 2 each quarter. That's the Sean Payton approach. I think that's what they have to start doing.
Just keep them hyper honest that you're going to push the ball downfield. And I think teams know Justin Fields can do it. It's just that, teams also realize that they're trying to run the ball first because that's their best way of effectively moving down the field. We're trying to see if we can keep stacking those games on to where we can make it that way. Right now, it's funny you bring up Lamar Jackson. A few weeks ago we were talking, wouldn't it be interesting if the Bears did like a Lamar Jackson offense? It's not exactly like that. Like, it's not like you're saying, we're putting 2 running backs in Lamar back there and it's every once in a while we do throw. But it is feeling like that more and more, that they're like, yeah, you don't know what's coming your way, but if it's a run, you're going to get burned. You better hope to God you're ready for it. So yeah, I'm expecting that to help. My thing is now I worry that you have 2 weeks in a row that they've run consistent offense. Does Miami pick that up? And I keep asking myself, when do teams put a permanent spy on Justin Fields? I haven't seen it yet. I've seen a few plays that they put spies on him. I haven't seen any team commit to saying, all right, it's you versus him the entire 4 quarters.
I think maybe because they're not scared of him throwing the football. Because
that could be it.
Because I'm not going to be that controversial with what you're confident in with the deep ball. I am not, and that just goes back to my Ohio State days watching. I'm not an Ohio State fan. What I mean by that is watching him playing the Big Ten. Because being an Illinois fan, you watch the Big Ten, you watch him. Yes, and I said this when we were talking about the trade. There are times Justin Fields, when he is on fire, I cannot take it away where he is on. But that's the whole debate that we don't have time for is, was he on because he has 3 first-round picks at Ohio State that he throws the ball to? Is he on fire because he had 2 running backs with him at Ohio State that each averaged over 120 yards per game? 2 running backs over averaging over 100 yards rushing per game. That makes your life a lot easier. Is he on because of that? But I can't take away like the Clemson game I keep going back to. He gets hit in the spine. He stands there and he's throwing dimes. He's throwing through the windows. He's throwing this. So, yes, there's times his deep ball looks fantastic. Then there's times there's a post run. He overthrows it by 10 yards. There's times where this guy runs a hitch or this in route and he throws it at his feet. That's what concerns me. But the last 2 weeks, it's better. It has been better, so I can't take that away.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he's as good yet, and he's getting better at this, but I don't think he's as good yet with like the middle of the field, settle down type of throws at times. Great on the run, if you give him that. I think that's why I'm saying with Claypool, you do it where it's okay, just chuck it up.
And if you overthrow him, you overthrow.
Yeah, let him throw it down there, and if he's man on man, let him go up. And again, this is the beginning. Like I said, this is the beginning of the evaluation of not just. I mean, you're still evaluating Fields, of course, but like you're also you spend a second round pick on Claypool, so the more snaps you can get in to start and get going on that process too, because again, this isn't talked about enough. Like I said, contract negotiations for him are starting after week 18, so
yes,
you have to know what you got, and if he's going to pan out that way. It's not like you have the luxury of next year, he has another year on his deal, then he has contract negotiations through 2024 because, well, we can't leave that up to chance. I mean, that's what would have been the nice scenario is 2023, you spend everything else, you have one more year on Claypool's rookie deal, and then we can talk about, or an extra year on rookie deal, that is, and then we can talk about him re-signing like during the 2024 season for 2025 beyond, but we don't have that. So that's why I say that. This is a game, though, like I said, Miami, there's opportunities if you can protect them. And I bring this up protection, too. This is the best setup the Bears are going to have all year for their line, albeit they did just pick up Bradley Chubb, who, credit, he'll only have 1 week to get ready, but it's kind of easier to just let a guy let loose and go after the quarterback off the edge. That will be a test. So I am curious how that goes for that matchup. And then again, Miami, their bread and butter on defense is they can hold teams down on the run game. Only 100 yards a game right now. One of the better rush defenses in the NFL. So yes. Really going to be a battle of at least the front 4 or front 5, front 7, you name it. And then if you can't get any presence on pounding the rock, do you have enough opportunities, and does Justin Field capitalize enough to get? To me, he needs to get 200 plus yards this game easily. If you that and get your occasional scrambles again to have a chance to beat Miami, and then somehow the front 7 or the front 5 of Chicago has to beat that front 7 of Miami in the run game. It has to be a overall 100% best of the season effort for these guys.
Yeah, because when you look at the stats, the Bears and Dolphins are very even up until you get to their offenses. Because the Dolphins, they score 22 points a game, Bears 19. The Dolphins give up 24 points a game, the Bears only give up 22. Yards per game, 395 for the Dolphins, 338 for the Bears. Then it gets interesting. Yards passing, the Dolphins throw for 306 yards per game. The Bears throw for 150. Their run offense is virtually not there. 88 yards a game. It's virtually not there for the Dolphins. But the Bears have a horrible rush defense, giving up 156. We only throw 198 through the air, but the Dolphins give up 275 through the air. So it's going to be an interesting matchup between both of those things. They're similar teams. But like you said, the Dolphins want to throw the ball all over the place. They don't really have a run offense, but the Bears' run defense is virtually not there because now you don't have anybody to really. In my opinion, the best part of the Bears' defense is Gordon, Pritzker, and Jackson. Those are the best ones we have now. That's it. So we thought that our defense was like going through butter before. Now you take away Roquan Smith, who can come up and your leading tackler. Now you're going to ask a bunch of guys to step up, and this could be a game where the Dolphins. You hope that the Dolphins just fall back to what they want to do and pass the ball, because then we
Mhm.
trust our back guys, our safeties and corners to make plays. But if the Dolphins just commit to running the football, could be a long day for the Bears defense unless somebody surprises, unless somebody surprises us.
I do think if I'm watching this, we talk about the run game. I mean I'm not really worried as much about that. I know they picked up Jeff Wilson in the as well during the trading deadline with Bradley Chubb, um, but I'm more concerned. Look, I watched last week, and again, we didn't talk much about the Cowboys game just because other stuff to worry about. But I watched C.D. Lamb and Carter Schultz, and or not Carter Schultz, Darnell Schultz. I
Mm-hmm.
watched those two pretty much have their way for most of Sunday last weekend. Um, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to be in this week, and I mean, boy, I know we've been hard on Kyler Gordon, and he's had some ups in recent weeks. Talk about a talk about another damn test for him to go
Mm-hmm.
through. I mean, and Kendall Vildor, look, he's had a better year this year, but I'll be honest with you, I don't trust the guy as much. He's had a better season, but put him again. But look, I watched what happened against C.D. Lamb last week with him. Um, there's that's going to be a hard matchup across the board. I don't know how they keep either one of those two down
Yeah,
unless you get pressure. Which,
which we don't.
hey, I mean, maybe. I mean, look, I've been wanting more snaps for Travis Gibson. Maybe this is his time to shine, but yeah, I don't know. You got to get back to Tua then.
Yeah, because
You know.
CeeDee Lamb and them had their way because of we don't get pressure on Dak Prescott, and our linebacking core was struggling in pass drops. Because some of those were deep passes, but some I'd have to rewatch the film again. It was intermediate passes. It was 8 to 10 yards. Well, your linebackers, where are the linebackers? Are you getting hands on? And when Dak Prescott can stand there for 4 seconds and throw the football, that's an issue. And so when what are we used to from the Bears, which we've said all the time? We're used to creating pressure. We're used to having
Mm-hmm.
somebody stop the run, get pressure, and we're used to having linebackers that can drop back in coverage and make plays and make it easier on our safeties and corners. Now it's flip flopped. Our safeties and corners are still trying to grow. That's probably the strength of our defense right now. We have a couple of D linemen or guys that we've picked up, but are they going to be able to produce in 3 days' time, 4 days' time, whatever they have? And so it's going to be interesting to see from the Dolphins. Maybe they don't commit to the run game. I'm not too scared of the run game because of who their running backs are. I'm not too worried about it, but it's the Bears. Like, do they take advantage of the Bears' bad rush defense? But do the Dolphins just say, screw it, we're a passing team. This is what we're going to do. We have Tyreek Hill, we have Waddle, we have this. Let's just commit to passing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're going to see the Bears play quarters type defense where they want to keep everything in front, like a cover four, and say, you know what? Keep everything in front of us. We can't let Tyreek Hill burn us deep. And if they nickel and dime us down the field and that's how they score, that's how they score because we got to keep everything in front.
Well, it's not even just that. I mean, it's going to also be, good hits principles going to be in display for this one, too. I mean, what do I got to say about Tyreek Hill's shiftiness as a runner? Jalen Waddle alone, too. I mean, both these guys can. I mean, I definitely agree. You can't let them just go deep on you all day. That's just a means to an end I think we're already kind of spelling in some ways. But both of those athletes, those stars on that offense can burn you even on the short routes. I've seen Jalen Waddle this year. Dude definitely has that once it's after the catch, once he gets that catch, he has those afterburners. He can take off right away. And Tyreek Hill, we already know, one of the fastest men in this league. Definitely just has to get enough of a crease and he can go the distance. I'm not saying every play is going to be like that, but it's hard with that speed for either one of those two to just match up. And again, I look at last week's matchup, and that was just CeeDee Lamb. I know Noah Brown's talented. I know Michael Gallup is talented. He's having a down year, but that's hard to go against one of the best receiver duos in the NFL with what we have currently. It's a simple thing is pressure. Get pressure and hope to God Miami has to somehow rely on running the ball, because otherwise, it might be a long day. Could be a long day we have ahead of us.
Yeah, you kind of have to hope too that Tua has a bad game. That too. I also think
that's not impossible either, but those are becoming fewer and farther between in the last year and a half. So
yes,
I think some of the stigma on Tua is starting to fizzle away because he keeps putting together, as we talk, we want to see games like what he's been doing. 300 plus yards, 3+ touchdowns is becoming pretty common for this guy when he's not concussed and Miami's not screwing up concussion protocol.
I can never forget those fingers. It still gives me nightmares.
Oh no, dude, those were horrible. I mean, that was horrifying for television. And the worst part is they showed it again and again and again. Like, no decency whatsoever.
It's like Stranger Things in season 4 when they get killed and their fingers are all going, and like, not spoilers, but when that happens and their finger,
it was, I don't know if you watch bad.
Stranger Things, but like, it's ooh.
I mean, I'm glad he's back, but Jesus Christ, that was incredibly asinine to see that entire scenario play over 2 weeks.
Ugh. I needed a moment there because of the fingers. But yes.
Yeah.
The only way we can hope is that, like you said, Tua is getting better each and every year, and he's better this year because of just the natural growth, but because of who he has to throw the ball to and how they can make plays for him. And I think because of their new coach and the play calling, he's a really smart offensive guy. So we just kind of hope that they make more mistakes. You got to hope that they can tackle an open space on Tyreek Hill and Waddle, and you got to hope they keep things in front. And you have to hope that somebody up front on the defensive line has a game. Like, a lot of things have to go right for the Bears on defense. And you kind of have to hope that Tua throws a bad ball, we get an interception, then we capitalize on that, whether it's we have to be okay too with field goals. Like, if we march on the field and kick a field goal, we have to feel pretty good saying we got some points on the board. But the defense, I'm going to be watching that linebacking core and saying, like, this is what we're reduced to, because all I've seen again is how bad pass drop Roquan Smith was, how bad he was at this. It's like all this stuff is now starting to come out. Now coming out how of a bad teammate he was.
Yeah.
People writing all these articles. And like, why is he shocked that he was traded? Because he asked for one at the beginning of the year. I think he was just shocked because maybe it just came out of the blue. I have no idea.
Yeah, I said all I said last show. I'm done with like people trying to do the hit job. And I'm looking at you, Eric Lambert, as well over at Sports Mockery. I don't know if he actually will watch this, but dude straight up did a hit job on him and I cannot say enough about how that was, to me, a little farther across the line, but I don't know. Eric Lambert, you ever seen Sports Mockery? It's like a Chicago-based digital website. He's their lead writer. Usually is the guy. He's usually that dude that like gets like fringe scoops. Like, I heard this one thing and I think this might be happening. That's all I'm saying. But the article, if you want to read it, it's something. Look, I get it. We're all. I think a lot of fans I'm seeing are trying to justify and make their own choices and find the little cracks. I know that there's people bringing up the fact that he was hanging out with a porn star in 2020.
Who cares?
And that's all I'm saying is like, well, I get you saw that. I never heard anything that affected the team horribly from that. I mean, the optics look weird, but everything we hear from players is he was a good teammate and he was a good leader and he was a captain, by the way. So I don't know. That's my last bit on the hit. Like, look, the hit job thing, I did enough on it. I didn't want to bring it up again, but here we are. Because it keeps coming up. No, and that's fine. I'm just saying, I saw that piece today before we came on. I went, great. I'm glad we're just keeping on trudging this one down, no big deal.
Well, that's why we'll keep talking about the offense, but that's why I think you continue to see the whole. I don't know why they keep trying to defend all this because it's like even I have to stop with it. Like it's kind of dumb, but like you just continue to see it. You continue to see these Bears, and these podcaster guys have to defend this, and they keep talking about. I have to remember the guy's name for NFL. He works for NFL. He does something. He's a Bears fan.
Well, I know Adam Rank is the one that is usually the big podcast guy from NFL.com. That's like the Bears hype man.
Oh yeah, he like started talking about Bears fans. He was talking about the beginning of the season, like you didn't want to see growth from like I don't know, but we just continue to justify it, and I think it's because they want to justify the second round pick for Chase Claypool. Oh, you don't get that unless you trade Roquan Smith. No, because we traded our pick away.
Except everyone's saying you overpaid for Claypool right now. That can change, but still, the optics are you overpaid based on the production. So to each our own. Now here's the burning question, and this comes in this game, and we haven't really addressed it very much yet, but I'll give you the depth chart. Here's the starting lineup this is ESPN, it could change, but based on what I've read, this is going to be the starting lineup for the linebacking core. Nicholas Morrow is going to be your strong, Jack Sanborn, and Joe Thomas. And I'll be honest with you, I said last show, I don't know who the hell the third linebacker is before this, because all I remember is seeing Nick Morrow getting burned on basically any tight end route that you can imagine. And then Roquan Smith, because, Roquan Smith's the star, and you're going to usually see him making plays as much as people want to downplay it. So, no offense to these guys. They're star athletes. I can never do this, but you definitely are doing like a pennies on the dollar linebacking core of who's who right now. I know, and AJ Klein, and credit, he could be upgraded to starting soon in middle, but because he came back in the deal for the Ravens, that wasn't talked about enough. But he still ain't going to replace your production.
No.
So,
like going back to the thing that kind of got started on this, I will be watching that linebacking core and I will be very critical.
It's probably going to be bad. If it wasn't, as much as people were slamming down Roquan for not being that one guy to hold up like 50 yards less a game or something like that I was seeing it's still going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
And so now the question becomes, if it does become a shootout, do we trust this Bears offense to be in a shootout, which we talked about a little bit last week with the Cowboys? The more we think about it, do we trust that they're at that point right now where they can be trusted in a shootout if the Bears defense is giving up touchdown after touchdown or stop here, but then we can't convert on offense, because the Bears will get a stop at some point. Everybody in the NFL does. They stop them somewhere. We did with the Cowboys. We had an interception. We did this, and we don't capitalize. Do we trust to be in a shootout with Justin Fields? Because if stuff hits the fan, you revert back to what you know, and you revert back to this. So I don't know if I trust the Bears to be in a shootout yet. You get Chase Claypool around a little more, and we start seeing that maybe this. But against a Dolphins, I don't know if I trust them to be in a shootout.
This is weird because if you told this to me in the first 4 weeks of the season, I would have never, if you had told me that you could have trusted the offense more to be the side of the ball that you would say, yeah, that'll keep you in a shootout, or keep you close to in terms of a high powered offense you're facing, I would have never believed you. But now I think at least last week, and credit, it's also part of because of what the trade deadline did. I don't trust the defense as much. And that's only because of what they took away and what is currently available on the starting 7 in the first 2 levels. Because if they can't get anything going, you're just putting a ton of pressure on either moving Jaquan Brisker up into that box more often or relying on Kyler Gordon and Kendall Vildor to play better in coverage or on one-on-one, which I'll give Gordon a pass still. It's his first year. He's shown some growth at times, but it's been shaky. And Kendall Vildor is Kendall Vildor. I know he's played better, but I still don't trust the guy. So I actually somehow have less trust, but that is mainly because I think just this last week and a half, I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if I think that this will be a unit that keeps us in games right now.
Yeah, no. And like, even though I say I don't trust the offense to be in a shootout, I trust them more than the defense,
Mm-hmm.
which that's coming from the Justin Fields #1 hate fan club saying I have more trust in the offense than I do anything else. But I think it's just the emergence of the receivers playing better. I think it's the emergence of the O line finally clicking a little bit. I think it's because you finally Herbert is looking good. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that helps take pressure off Montgomery. I think Herbert has more better stats. Now, Montgomery missed a couple games, but
Right.
he's emerging and Komet's getting in the pass game. And uh, so I have more trust in them because it's because the defense, when you trade those guys away, what did you replace them with? You replace them with our backups. You replace them with people that weren't playing. And so
Right. You're
if you trade
punting it.
If you trade Roquan Smith and you get like another linebacker and it's a linebacker that's fine. We got draft picks for him. So now you're trying to scramble and find this free agent off the street. You're trying to, backups. Now it's your time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you have to go play. So it was just didn't seem like, again, that's why I don't understand. Like, people are putting all this value into these draft picks. You better hope those draft picks turn into some big time player, because I think that's hard for me, is I don't see the value yet.
Yeah, but then be careful what you wish for, because then, remember, if you complain about using that pick for a trade and then you're saying, well, they used it like with the Claypool discussion, that's what the other part of it is. They overpaid, which I was agreeing with, but then people go, well, you can't complain about overpaying, but also complain that they, shouldn't be holding the draft picks. I don't know. It's like, trust me, it's another back and forth discussion thing. If you go on any social media with a Bears fan and the media outlets for them, it is you will lose your mind unless you just pick a side and run with it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you all the way. The picks I always look at as theoretical value, fantastic. You got to be able to pull the trigger and execute with them, though, which there's still a chance. I mean, there's still next year. Like I said, 2023, there's a bunch of pressure on 2023 for them to deliver. We already know this. So
we have to do
that'll be a big, at least future setting, era setting draft and free agency for Ryan Poles and Eberflus out of the gun.
We almost have to do a whole episode on that, like how much pressure is on, and if it doesn't work, how quickly are these guys fired? That's going to be interesting.
Well, yeah, if things don't pan out. Now, if they swing for the fences and it all works out, and next year we're neck and neck or we're beating out, say, Minnesota, because right now Minnesota's looking like they're going to be, at least for the next few years, the front runners in the North, unless Chicago does swing big and nail it next season. Then, I don't see Green Bay right now.
No.
That's me being honest. Which, by the way, I thought it was hilarious that I've seen some people go, well, they're in a Super Bowl window. I'm like, did anyone think they were in a Super Bowl window coming into this year? Because I didn't see it. Did you? I mean, they let go Devontae Adams. They were basically questioning how that offense was going to work anyway.
There were some people talking about them going to the Super Bowl because of Aaron Rodgers, but then people actually looked at it and they said, well, what receivers do they have? And Aaron Rodgers is in a situation with receivers.
Well, this is why I ask this, because this comes back to the Claypool trade, because the Packers were associated with this trade, and they also apparently wanted to offer a second rounder. So the thought was that, people have said, well, they're both 3-5, so clearly Green Bay was not overpaying, so the Bears aren't overpaying. And then I went, well, wait a minute. And then people go, well, wait a minute. If they're in a Super Bowl window and they're trying to win now and they're desperate for a pick, I don't know about you, but if I'm a team that needs a receiver that badly, I would be desperate and throw a second rounder. So to me, it came off as desperate. But everyone else was like, well, they're 3-5. So, but then they'd also, some people go, well, they're in a Super Bowl window. Like, it's like dodging the obvious like problems with this debate. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I think they're desperate because again, the Bears type of trade for Chase Claypool is you want to win now. The Packers
Hmm.
trying to get that trade, saying they're trying to win right now because they were Super Bowl aspirations last year, so they have Super Bowl aspirations this year. So I think they are desperate, but it would be a trade for them to say they're trying to win now. So the Bears are like, are you tanking? Are you trying to win now? Or are you doing half and half? Like we're kind of tanking because our defense is going to blow, but we're also trying to show you that we're going to get this offense going into next year with the
Hmm.
big time money we have. But don't worry, the Packers are desperate because I don't care what they say, they're 3-5 now. Do they have a chance to win the NFC North? Absolutely, they do. The Vikings could
They could.
don't trust Kirk Cousins the whole time. Like we can't sit there and trust him the entire time.
There's still some primetime games coming up this
There's
year,
a
though.
there's some primetime games where he can screw it up,
He
you
can still
know, and
mess up.
and it's the Packers. For some reason, at some point, the light bulb finally gets screwed in all the way, and someone hits the light switch, and it's like, well, here we go. Like it's and this isn't a Packer show. They're finding their identity versus the Bills. Second half, they ran the ball, scored, and it's like that's who they have to be, I think. So once they finally
Now,
accept
now,
that, they're going to
now
be able
that
to.
I'm laughing at, because basically both of them are in the same boat of we need to pound the rock to succeed on that side of the ball.
Yes.
That is, to me, that is hilarious. And actually, it's funny because that's how the first matchup between the two win is. They both equally were able to hit the ground running. It's just, you know, Green Bay made a few less mistakes and held out. So, but that's neither here or there. I mean, look, Chicago, we know it's not. They won't say tanking because it's a dirty word. Um, but it's at least as it's been all season an eval period, and now they're just going farther into that is what we got. Miami, I mean, I guess much like Dallas, throw another litmus test in terms of like testing the offense, your identity. Again, putting up 29 against Dallas, I was surprised, and the way they did it, like they tired them out. You know, they were like, and they tired. It was not just getting points on the board and moving it successfully. It was like third down after third down after third down. Like if you're a Dallas fan, it was like back-breaking third downs over and over again where I would very much be going, "Oh my god, it was 3rd and 16, dude." You
Yeah.
can't let them just run for that first, or like, "Oh my god, man, it's 3rd and 7. You had freaking Khalil Herbert run for 7 yards." Like that was how the game went. That was pretty awesome to see. So, yeah, we lost by 20, but I'll admit, offensively, that's what I'm hoping keeps going. You know,
Mhm.
we are able to maybe. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to win in this game. I'll put it out there right now. I don't think we will, and I can leave my score prediction that way. Spoiler alert: I'm picking the Dolphins, but I do think maybe we can keep this within a 1-score game, and that we score like 21 points. You
I,
know,
I think
maybe 28, and then we lose by like a 35-28 score or something like that.
well, that's the thing. If we could score 29 versus a good Cowboys defense, you would think we could score 21 to 30 points versus a Dolphins defense that's not up to snub as the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's weird. The Dolphins are 5-3 and they're third in their division. Like you put them in the NFC North, they're second right behind Minnesota. So it's just crazy how these other conferences are going because Miami's in a tough like the Jets are above them right now with a 5-3 record. You know, they're just kind of ranked there. And it's the Dolphins are a good team. They're a good team. And they started off hot, and they got the concussion thing, and then it just started to spiral out.
Yeah.
But kind of in the same boat. I never thought I would say this. The offense could get you 29 to 30 points this game and put you in a position to win. It's literally going to come down to two things. Play calling and Justin Fields are together and intertwined where there's not mistakes being made. And can the defense just get like 2 or 3 stops? They can get 2 or 3 stops and we march down the field and get a touchdown, field goal, maybe another touchdown or another field goal out of those stops. Like I think there has to be a number. I think the Bears defense has to sit there and say, if we can get 5 to 8 stops somewhere in there, like do something that keeps us in the game. If our offense can just slowly continue to have this mojo momentum,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, talking to defensive coordinators in college, that's kind of what they have in their mind is when they game plan, they go, if we get this many stops, you'd have to watch the film, they'd have to have this breakdown. They'll say if we get this many stops, we can win the game. You know, we are going to give up something, but if we can get this many stops, we're in good shape. Like they have that plan in their head. So I think the Bears probably have that same plan of if we get this many stops, maybe there's something. You know,
I mean, look, you have opportunities, like we said, passing wise. Miami allows these shootouts to happen. You know, so if you are going to take steps and if you are going to show once again that you are improving week by week and that your program's getting there, and maybe you do impose your will on the ground, it's highly possible. Chicago's been able to do it the best in the league with whoever's behind center. But if you want to take advantage of opportunities through the air, for the most part, from what it looks like, this is one of your better weeks to do it. So I would say I hope that I see Justin Fields hit 200 plus yards passing, get 60 to 70 yards on the ground. Maybe does the same in terms of touchdowns this week. Throws 2, runs 1. And Chicago, to me, wins if they can get to the 30-point mark and get a few stops.
Yep, I agree. And I think that we shouldn't expect Chase Claypool to come out and have 110 yards receiving. If it happens, great, but I don't think we're going to see that. We can't expect that. We have to start expecting maybe this opens up Mooney a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to see Cole Kmet continue to catch the ball.
Yeah, his progress, that has been great these last few weeks. I'll give you that. Him getting a touch, I guess I haven't been thinking about it that much because Cole Kmet's kind of disappeared in the background last year, but it's been 600 plus days since he had caught a TD.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either until they said that. They're like, his first catch is like 20 touchdowns, like 2020, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, really? How about that?
Well, because some, like you said, he either fades away for a little bit, but then when he does come back, it's like a 20-yard catch where it's a big situation, and you're so you don't think about like, wait a minute.
He's kind of like Dawson Knox. I think of him like that. Knox doesn't always have like he isn't always like that guy on every drive that's going to burn you, like say Stephon Diggs, but when he shows up, he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get your 15 to 20 yard chunks. He'll get that touchdown catch. That's what I think Cole Kmet could be. Because right now, I mean, he's definitely he needs to be more of the pass catching tight end. Was okay last week in run blocking situations, but all year, dude's been kind of a train wreck. So,
well, that holding call on him was BS on the Cowboys.
That was bad. He didn't deserve that slander.
No.
That was ridiculous. I'll give you that.
That was bad.
My dad's on the side going, it's these damn Dallas refs. They do it every time. I'm like, well, this is Jerry's world. Jerry is the most powerful man in not only the NFL but probably in sports.
And Cowboys are worth a lot of money, so they're gonna.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Although it's not Patriots powerful because clearly he can't get back to the Super Bowl since the 90s. So.
Yeah, Robert Kraft can go down to Florida and have some fun and have nothing happen. But anyway. But yeah, I Cole Kmet has to continue to grow, and he and Chase Claypool were teammates, so that'll be cool to see. They're teammates at Notre Dame in the same draft class. Believe it or not, people forget that. I forgot that. I was like, oh yeah, they both went to Notre Dame. So that'd be cool.
So here's my thing now. Is I guess in terms of the rest of the receiving core, who's your main third guy? Would you rather it be Dante Pettis or ESQ?
I don't know. Because I like Pettis. He does some good things. It's just he doesn't get enough targets, or he does make situational drops. But I kind of like him because you put him in the slot and he runs jet. You can put him out at wide and have him run something. So I kind of think he needs to start emerging. But I also saw somewhere that eventually Pringle is going to come back. Like he's slowly.
Well, that's true. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I said those two and I went, let's throw the third one in. Does N'Keal Harry surpass them while we wait for Bryant and Pringle to come back?
He could.
Or Byron Pringle. Yeah.
Yeah, he could. He really could.
Caught
I
TD last week.
yeah, I think that's the thing. That's the good thing and bad thing about this is it's a good thing because you have different guys that could start to get better and emerge to help them out. But then it's bad because they haven't emerged yet, and it's like which one's going to take that next step forward. Um, I think Harris could take that next step forward, or Harry, sorry, could take that next step forward and be that next guy because Mooney. What a good lineup if you think about it: Montgomery, Mooney, Claypool. If Harry continues to step up, and Cole Clement, like, wow, that actually sounds like a good lineup.
It's definitely sounding better than it was week 1, and I am not opposed as long as you here. It's a lot of like potential. This is what this current receiving core is like. And credit, there's talk. They're probably going to draft a receiver this coming draft. I hope. I would assume that's the case. Because I mean, right now, I mean, I'll be honest with you. So still rest of the season left, but Velus Jones stock is fading very fast
It
week
is.
over week.
It is.
But I mean, the drops, the punt return issues, and whatever, give it some time. But I mean, you think about the guys that are currently here and that are contributing. He's starting. I mean, he's kind of getting pushed out of the fold, is what I'm looking at right now.
And I swear on everything, if these podcasters that talk so much crap about these receivers, how Justin Fields has no help, and they start to emerge and they start talking about how good they are, I'm going to flip.
You know it's going to happen though. This is how the fan base is. It always flips to the positive side of it. It never is about, well, what happened to this. I'm more and more. I'm trying to just say it is what it is, but this is totally what would happen.
Because there's a major podcast in Chicago that has grown because they cover every sports in Chicagoland, and they are the ones that do a very good job. But also, all I heard from them was how Justin Fields has no help, and that's why I try my best to say, "Hey, these receivers just aren't." If they just said these receivers just aren't playing well, that's one thing.
I got one. I bet it's CH Go.
Yes, it is.
When you said all sports, look, because I appreciate Adam Hogue, but Adam Hogue, I've used to listen to his athletic show. To me, he flips, and so I don't listen to that because he does kind of flip on subjects when it seems convenient in my eyes.
That's who said that Roquan Smith looked out of shape. That was where I heard that. So
I don't know that, and you know what? It's probably because it's a small town. I don't know. Look, I used to listen to it religiously. I'm just telling you, that's one gentleman. Unfortunately, I have seen that. I think he will flip when it best suits the story narrative. Sometimes on players or on the Bears.
yes.
So,
And that's why wording's everything. That's why I could probably go back and listen to all these we've done, and I probably said it. I probably said he has no help, but I try not to. I'm trying to say the receivers just aren't playing well, and as of right now, there's no the guy. And as they progress, I try to sit here and say they are playing better. Trying to say that. Are they still the guys? No, they're not. Mooney was supposed to be the guy, but he struggled. Now he's getting better. We talk about St. Brown. He's been playing better. And I don't know, but that's my little other mini rant is
personally, I think it's just that they finally switched over to an offense that suits what they're capable of. Like everyone's been complaining of, that's what I really think is realistic. I think that it's just that they said, F it, let's do design run. Let's just hit the run harder and then do design runs and throws that are quick, convenient, and get it the hell out of there.
Yes, and I think it's confidence.
That's what it is. And it's helping everyone. I'm not stupid, or we're not stupid. I mean, Dante Pettis, ESQ, they've had better weeks in recent weeks. Like I said, N'Keal Harry being healthy, he's starting to get active, and they're finding alleys. So I'm on the full belief that that mini buy, like everyone was talking to after Commanders game, they said, F it, we're not running this offense anymore, and we're going to just do something different for development and to not kill our QB as much.
Yes.
So
yes. Yeah. And they're confident. I'm telling you, when receivers start to catch the balls, some good things were happening. They start running routes harder. The play callings help them get open. They get more confident. They start to really understand the offense because you have to understand it was all brand new. And
Mm-hmm.
so they're brand new. They're young. So that's why I was getting tired of them saying he has no help. What do you mean he has no help? They just have to figure out how to develop them, but here or there. But yes, confidence. Confidence is key for everything in this.
Well, you see, that's something with Fields. He's been smiling more, a lot more positive reinforcement on things.
That
You
sports
know,
psychologist probably needs to get a pay raise because whatever they're
probably.
talking about.
Well, and whoever's remember he's doing meditation now. Remember that Monday Night Football game?
Oh
How
yeah,
they're saying he does meditation now during games. That man does it. Whoever was helping him, I would say, so far so good. You're on your way to getting a pay bump.
I need that guy. I need that person in my life. I need that. You can flip that.
Justin, can you drop a line? Maybe you don't because we maybe you don't because I don't know, but I don't
I'll
know.
advertise
I
the
could use it.
person's practice. I'll advertise it.
Otherwise, Otherwise, I'll stick to my cat. And giving her pets every day to relieve some of my stress. That's how I'll do it.
Um, but yeah. So you already picked spoilers, the Dolphins. What do you
Yeah,
think
and
the scores could be?
I won't stick with that. I won't stick with that score. Because I said 35-28 as like a hypothetical. My actual score is probably going to be closer to probably like 34-24 if I had to guess. I think Chicago keeps it close because I'm going to be honest with you, after New England, that New England contest, I'm just done with trying to say they'll get ran out of the building, because Matt Eberflus, if there's one thing be damned, he has brought a competitive, we're not going to give up team pretty much every week. And even against Dallas, they were down by 5 at one point in the second half. They were few plays and some confidence boosters away from maybe pulling off a massive upset. So I think it's going to be a 10-point game. It won't be 10-point differential till late in the fourth, but it's going to be kept close. And I think Justin Fields does throw for 200 yards and at least gets 60 yards rushing. I think we see another good week. So I'm crossing my fingers that I am going to say that progress continues, because, I mean, to me, it should. I don't see a reason it wouldn't, but it should.
Yeah. I have a 10-point game too. I had written down 37-27. I just think if you score 29, you score 30-some against New England, you're going to score 29 versus the Cowboys. You have to score between 21 and 30-some points, you would have to think. And adding Chase Claypool does help with certain. I think he'll have a big-time catch somewhere because he does make good contested catches. I think he'll have a big catch, but he's not going to have a ton of yards. I don't know if Justin gets to that 200 yards, but I think Herbert continues to have big games. I think Montgomery is going to have some big-time, hopefully swing catches, and just hopefully they continue the play calling of unbalanced looks with extra linemen and the tight end. The linemen are getting healthier, especially if Whitehair is going to slowly make a comeback and help contribute. I just don't trust the defense. The defense is going to give up 30-some points. I just don't. That's going to be the ugly part of this. And I just don't know if the offense can keep up when they're in that situation. But, it could go either way. We get a big time interception from somebody. The Dolphins offense just starts playing bad. Maybe they fumble the ball. That's where I'm sitting here going, we just need some luck. If the Bears are going to try to win, it just needs some luck to happen. And you can't count on that. So counting by stats and what we're seeing and what we're looking at, Dolphins 37-27.
Okay, before we go, one final question, and it's because you talked about the running backs, and this is now one of the other questions, because we're seeing a lot more of the re-signing discussion coming up now that we're midway through the year. Because, you got like Jalen Johnson coming up here pretty soon and all that. Monty is coming up. And this is where the question is, do you re-sign Montgomery knowing Khalil Herbert's on that roster, or do you let him walk because you got Khalil Herbert on that roster?
I don't know. It's very interesting because if they think they're not going to re-sign him, they would have traded him.
And that's true. There had been rumors that he was going to be shipped over to Atlanta, where Ryan Pace is chilling at. Not as a GM though. Remember, he's not. He's part of the player personnel department. He's not a GM though. But the connections are there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting question because me personally, you resign him. But with the injury last year, with the very beginning of the year, he did hurt his knee again. Is there going to be concerns of injury? And the only way you think they are going to resign him is because when you trade Roquan Smith and all of a sudden those rumors come out of Dave Montgomery, and I don't know about you, I saw Twitter blow up from Bears account saying trade him, trade him, trade him, trade him to get something out of this. That's all I kept seeing. And that's where all of a sudden I can find my podcast from last year with the Herbert Love. And all of a sudden, when they were going to trade David Montgomery, that's when the Herbert love started to pour out. Herbert has better numbers. Herbert does this. Look at this and this, this, and this. And that's why stats always don't tell the truth. Who's the overall better running back? Maybe Montgomery is. But that's because Herbert is still getting better.
Well, here's another aspect of this that keeps getting brought up. Montgomery's a better pass blocker.
Yes.
At least that has been dictated terms of film, and also has been kind of the rumor in Hallis Hall, or at least the discussion in Hallis Hall, that any of the outlets bring up, is that if you're going to choose one for passing downs, it's Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, not to mention that Montgomery is definitely the better pass catcher, or at least is used more in the game. Now, credit, I mean, Herbert can catch, but Montgomery to me gets better catches and usually is more versatile. So I don't know. I've said this already on this show. Keep 2-star running backs. It works. And if you can make it work and you can make it reasonable, why not? But again, I don't know. Because I don't know, you know me. I actually don't trust Chicago with player negotiations for guys that are. Is he good enough? Is he not good enough? Because you know what they usually do, and I know that people have been saying that Roquan negotiated out of faith. I've seen the McCaskies they'll undershoot.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I wait on the side of caution. They'll probably get the majority of these guys back. Montgomery's one of those guys, though. He's on the fringe because Khalil Herbert's there.
Yeah.
Do you justify it? Do you pay him the money that he might think he's worth? Or, not just that, do you pay him a contract that also gives him some benefits and doesn't? Because remember, part of Roquan's problem was that they loaded the contract weird, and that they tried to do it like certain aspects of it didn't make. I don't know. All I'm saying is fascinating offseason if you're going to talk about the running back situation, but you know, I stick with you keep them.
Or do you franchise tag him and just kind of?
You could do that too. I mean, Montgomery seems pretty level headed. I haven't seen him make any gestures. I don't think he's been asked about it either, really. But
because running back is an interesting position to give a contract to because of all the pounding they take. You know, when NFL is called not for long, it's really, really pointed to the running backs. Like it's really not.
Not everyone can be a Derrick Henry, you know. And even Derrick Henry still can get knocked out for the year.
Or Adrian Peterson for the longest time. Like
that too.
Yeah. You know, that's an interesting question. You know, the fan in me, because I like Montgomery, you say yes.
Ooh, well, think about Frank Gore. You know, he lost a few seasons. He could have actually, by the end of his career, if he stayed healthy every year, he could have possibly ended his career as the all-time leading rusher in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Like, he lost one of his prime years. He only was behind Emmitt Smith by, I think it was only about 2,000. So.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. And
it's a massive hypothetical, but I'm just saying, like, you know,
just the way they were tanking, I thought it was going to happen when they traded Smith, and I saw the reports. I said, okay, they've gone full tank mode. I'm not going to be shocked if they trade him. But if they trade David Montgomery, you would have hopped on the podcast while you're at work because I would have had a lot of grievances with that. I say you resign him unless there's some running back out there I don't know about that they can go get that's in the NFL. I don't want to hear anything from people. Well, just draft a running back. You don't know what you're like. I don't want to hear that. Draft linemen. You got to draft other positions first. That's why I think you resign them and then say like you use those draft picks to fill other holes, like the linebacker position you just opened up.
Yeah, forget it. Just forget it.
But yes, that'll be an interesting offseason. There'll probably be lots to talk about with that. On draft night, don't get me started. Don't even get me started on draft night. All right, we both got Dolphins winning, both by 10, but hopefully we continue to see some growth in the offense and maybe we start to see what it could form into going into next year. The defense is going to be butter besides our safeties and corners.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be the only bright spot there, but we will be watching the linebacking spot very closely to see what Ryan Poles and them were looking at, and hopefully we get some answers. And if they play well, I'll hop back on and eat crow of what I said, and I'm okay with that. But that's another episode from the Bear Down segment on the Coach Steve Show. Go check out Zach's other podcast, Inside the Walls, 4th and 4, Gridiron Gallery's Making a Slow Burn, USFL podcast,
The slow burn,
all that good stuff. Check all that out. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching and or listening, and we'll see you guys after the Bears play the Dolphins in Chicago. So we'll see you guys then.